Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is Friday, March 15th, and we'll dive into the overall markets. I'll show you guys a little bit of a clip of Cem Karsan, who showed up on Real Vision yesterday. He just kind of spits a lot of alpha. He knows a lot about options, and he goes into a lot of details of what to expect with the overall market next couple of weeks. So I'll go over that with you guys, and then we'll dive into the charts. We'll take a look at how Solana's doing. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, and then we'll do a little bit of an update on our Robinhood account. So let's dive in.
Sure. And what should people be cognizant of as we sort of make our way through what are going to be the expirations, but also the Fed next week?
Yeah, so March OPEX, right? Big quarterly OPEX. 4 times a year they happen. This one you can wipe off the board because it's at the end of the year and tied up to much bigger flows that are end of year, beginning of year, which we've talked about. You really have 3 what I'd call dangerous quarterly expirations. And why are they dangerous? Because there's big open interest. There's more risk when you have big open interest because the distribution is wider and a little bit kind of twisted, right? And that fat left tail is out there for if markets do decline, it can accelerate. So it is a big OPEX. We talked about how entering that OPEX is the most dangerous period, though, right? When we were entering on Feb 14th, that was the week that you need to be careful. And if things didn't start falling apart, then the buyback of stock during this OPEX for those Vana and Charm flows we talk about will be very, very strong and supportive. And that's what we've seen, right? But we were also clear come Wednesday. And by the way, that's regardless. Like when CPI came out, I didn't care that it was negative. Actually, that was a buyable dip because we knew the big flows were coming. That's why CPI didn't matter. Nobody talks about that on CNBC or anywhere else. They just kind of when days like today, it's about PPI. But what happened during CPI? We're just gonna mumble through that one and figure it out, right? So CPI didn't matter for the markets, but PPI apparently does. It's crazy, right? But the point is that there are flows, there are big structural flows that matter. And guess what? As of Wednesday, they're mostly done. And what does that mean? Mean reversion. And the macro picture comes back into focus. That stuff matters again. So we have now run, about 30% off the bottom in just November 1st, right? It is a big run and it has been consistent. And it speaks, by the way, these thrusts speak to the liquidity we're talking about and what the Fed's telling you and what happens during election years and what's likely to happen. All of that, I'm not saying that stuff isn't important, but we have to think shorter timeframes as well. And in the context of this, things don't go in a straight line. And if and when you're going to get that digestion of some kind, which can be a digestion, by the way, in price or time, right? You want to be prepared to buy back in.
So Cem Karsan he's been on Real Vision a couple of times. The daily briefing, I watch it every single day. I don't think I've missed a Real Vision daily briefing in about 2 years or so. They just have a lot of guests come on there. They drop a lot of alpha, and every time I listen to the show, I learn a lot of good things. But Cem goes on to later talk about over the next couple of weeks of the next 14 days or so, he's looking for a 3 to 10% drop. Or it could just consolidate for the next 2 weeks, meaning that it could just, basically be the market overall will be flatline. So I think that's pretty interesting. It kind of goes and has some indicators or has some alignment with our DeMark indicators, which are 13s, which means that, it's 13 consistent days up or 13 consistent days down. It's just kind of interesting how technical indication works and how these indicators work along with the inflows. So Cem knows a lot about options inflows, and that's something you guys will learn as well too, is like you have to watch like the inflows of the options market, and that kind of tells you, what to expect with the market. I've been trying to get better at it, and that's something I want to add to my toolbox, is just getting better with understanding the options inflow. But I'll put the link below if you guys want to check out that interview with Cem Karsan, and he also talks about an all-weather portfolio. He talks about the politics and how that impacts the market as well too. So just overall, a really good interview, and I think you guys should definitely check it out. So, I like to take a look at what people are talking about and then go back to my charts just to make sure either things are lining up or maybe things are correlated to the chart. So we'll take a look at the QQQ, which is what I use as a surrogate for the overall market. And right now we have this major support line right here of 436. Right now we are trading at 433 on the Qs. We have a 1 for a buy countdown, so it indicates the general direction is down. So I think after breaking this really important support, I think there's some validity to what Cem is saying that, we could be continuing on a downtrend. We also have our MACD indicator as well too, and that's kind of indicating that the trend's going to maybe continue down. So we'll take a closer look at this. The market is trading down 1.23%. So those flows that Cem was talking about is being pulled back, and we'll keep an eye on this and we'll keep a tab on this. Another thing I like to look at is how the market acts overall. So if you look at this hourly chart, we hit these nines and it bounced up right away. Right here we had these nines, and then the market continue to slide. So just kind of showing some weakness, at least for today. We'll keep monitoring and we'll see how things go. Some other major supports right here is 430. If we break this, I'll be more concerned. 427, even more concerned. So we'll watch out for these support levels. We'll watch out for the next, week or two, and then we'll see how it goes. And then that really lines up with our 13 sell countdown here on the weekly chart. So we've been up here in the overbought territory for a while on the Qs. So this 13 we're already seeing a little bit of a pullback and consolidation. So let's see how this looks and maybe be a little bit more cautious with the things that we're putting on. Probably won't be taking on too much more risk, and then managing the positions that we have a little bit more tightly. And then taking a look, moving over to Solana, I thought this tweet from OSF was really cool. So he says, a tale as old as time to look out for coins that show strength in a big market dip. So I think, as some of you guys know, Bitcoin did take almost 10% dip this morning, and so did a lot of the other coins. So Solana actually held up pretty well its own. We'll take a dive into the Solana chart, but how it responds and how the strength and the response of coins are also important during these major market dips, and that kind of underlies the strength in Solana and just shows us that there's a lot of demand for Solana still in the background. I follow OSF. He used to be a TradFi macro trader, and then he got into the NFT and Web3 space. I think he minted like 40 Bored Apes, and some of you guys know that those he made a couple, I think two-figure in the millions off of that trade, and so now I follow him for a lot of my alpha. So I'll put a link to his Twitter down below if you guys are interested in following OSF. Again, he's really good in the Web3 degen space as well too, so I do take his opinion highly. So let's dive into the Solana chart. So Solana technically still looks pretty good versus Bitcoin and some of the other markets. Right now it is trading at $180, and it is up 2% for today. We had these nines hit right here, and then it kind of continued on. As we just said, the market, Bitcoin dipped like 10%. We did have a little bit of a dip here, and I think it went as low as like 160 here for Solana, but we had these nines hit, and then you saw that this responded pretty well to the nines, and it actually came back and trading at a good range right now. That's kind of like the opposite of the Qs, where we saw the nines hit and then it kind of just continued on its downtrend, indicating the market has some weakness to it, but Solana's doing pretty good overall. We do have these upper targets of 195 here on the hourly chart, and some lower targets of 160 right here. Should hold this 160 support line pretty well, and it'll continue the uptrend. Same thing with here as well to this line for about 170 or so. So as long as it holds these major supports at like 160, 170, things are pretty good, and it looks like Solana's on track to at least break into the 200s and 225 range here at our weekly chart. So momentum still picking up for Solana, and a lot of our indicators are showing really good signs for Solana, really good strength for Solana. So not too worried about it. But let's dive into what Bitcoin's doing. So taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, we had these 13s and these 9s hit right here on the daily time frame. Right now we have a count 1 for a buy countdown, so indicating the general direction is going to be down. We do have this major support here at 60,000, so it could be possible that we slide all the way down to 60,000 with this right now. We're losing a little bit of momentum here from our stochastic RSI indicator, and then we're also seeing our MACD kind of converge. It could bounce off of this, or it could loop down. We'll kind of see how the strength of the market looks over the next couple of days or so. But generally, I'm not too worried. Cem did talk about some of the options flows. That is, really towards equities. But I think right now everybody's a little bit cautious about the market, since Bitcoin is, a lot of people think it's tied to liquidity, but it's also tied to inflation. So if inflation is running a little bit hotter than everybody thinks, then it could impact it. I personally don't think that inflation is super bad, and I think it's part of the overall trend. But again, sometimes it doesn't matter what I think, and it's really just what the market is thinking and what the market and the overall market is way more important than opinions of just myself. So hopefully we'll watch this support here on the daily for 67,000. If it breaks again below this, then we'll be a little bit more concerned. And then we do have this support down here for 65,000. So I do think over the next couple of weeks, if you're not haven't been allocated or trading this short term, really should be some good trades here at 67,000, and then maybe another tranche at 65,000. So if it does dip down below those, I'll probably add to my short term Bitcoin futures account here. But kind of continue the market. Won't be adding any more risk here with Bitcoin, and just kind of be watching it right now. The indicators are telling me it could pause for a little bit and consolidate, or could continue to run, or could go down as well too. So again, we just got to watch the market and see how Bitcoin reacts to this. So Bitcoin not as strong as Solana, I would say, from a chart and from a technical perspective, but we'll kind of keep watching it. So looking at our Robinhood account right now, we're at about $3,000 still. We did have to add some funds for our margin account, but overall, not a pretty week so far. I think for this week, we've lost like $1,000 on this account, which is not the greatest. I think right now we kind of bottomed out here at the market. Hopefully, again, with the markets, what Cem said, what Bitcoin is doing, I'm going to be a little bit cautious here right now with the account. So if we kind of dip any further than this, I'm going to cut some of my losses and just make sure that I have a fund still in this account. What you don't want to do is kind of continue holding on and then blow up this account. What I don't want to do is blow up this account, and then we'll kind of keep monitoring this. Right now we have positions on for CleanSpark and our 30-day buy. We're down $162 or 52%. Our Riot calls as well expiring in June. We have 4 of them. And this is also down 39%, 40%, and $200. And then our Tesla calls here as well too are down $53 and 32%. And then our CleanSpark shares are also down 112 and 2% as well too. So just to show you guys, it's not always, a perfect opportunity trading. You're not always going to feel good, at the bottom of this while the account was dripping. Definitely didn't feel good. Definitely had some negative thoughts and just not feeling good overall. But again, that's just part of trading. And understanding how the overall market was working and how Bitcoin works, and then looking at technical analysis makes me feel a little bit better, and it takes like the emotion out of things. I think that's why I want to kind of show you guys with this account, just kind of go through all the ups and downs with this account as well too, just to show you what the reality is, and not what other traders show you of, just making money every single time. So that's all I wanted to cover with you guys today. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next time. And yeah, like and subscribe if you want to keep track of things, and then keep learning and keep growing and improve with me on this journey. So I'll talk to you guys next time.